Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, this is an interesting one, and every time we see Errol Spence in the public, we get a new tidbit.
Mhm.
It seems like to me, every time somebody talks about him or they say that they've talked to him, there's a tidbit there that a lot of people simply don't pick up on. And as content creators, of course, that's what we do. We listen for those little comments, things, and connect dots. And um, it's pretty interesting because I haven't seen anybody even talk about this, but it's good stuff. But before we jump into this video, I would like to welcome those of you who are new to the channel. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, where Jason and I are always dropping boxing-related content. So make sure you become a subscriber. And for those of you who are regular patrons of the channel, you know who we are, you know what we do. Make sure that you smash the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content. But make sure that you are surely engaging with the content. I have to do that, Jay. I have to remind them that they got to smash the like button. They got to smash the subscribe button because that's the way
Yeah,
that the
they
channel
be stingy.
grows. I know. But let's dive into this. We know last night Frank Martin was in a fight with Bartholomew, and had a massive knockout, absolutely massive knockout. And of course, Errol Spence is going to be there because technically Frank Martin is Errol Spence fighter. He fights under a man down promotion. Errol Spence is there to support
Yep.
his fighter. And anytime we see Errol Spence out, man, it's just amazing the kind of love that he gets, the interaction from the fans, and of course, people are going to want to hear what it is that he has to say in regards to what's going on in the sport. And there's no difference in this particular outcome or this particular outing, if you will. Um, they want to know what's going on with Errol. They want to see if he's coming back. Well, they talked to him a little
Mhm.
bit, and they brought up, of course, Terence Crawford and some of the things that we've seen with Terence Crawford here recently. And Errol is a very one of the things that I think about Errol Spence that makes him such a revered fighter. The reason why he has such a loyal fan base is because he's a very transparent and straight up and down dude. That's the best way I can describe him. Someone who,
Yeah.
you're not getting anything fake from Errol. You're getting his true feelings. He's just a real authentic. That's the best way to describe him. Very authentic. And I felt that his response to Terence Crawford's situation was very authentic in that he said, "Listen, and this is in regards to Terence Crawford and what he had to say in regards to the WBC. He said, listen, um, Crawford should have been doing this back when I brought it up 2 years ago. But when I brought it up 2 years ago, he had absolutely nothing to say about it. And he
Mhm.
implied that now that I think he said it, now that he doesn't need them, he actually said that. He said now that he doesn't need them, you know, he's taking this stance. But in reality, he should have always taken the stance. Now, does he still feels like he agrees with Terence Crawford in the sense that, where is this money going, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Transparency would be key for him to get a
Transparency.
better feeling and understanding of, how the money is being spent since they're taxing them. And so I totally understand that. And I think that's fair. But what was more interesting is his comment later on in the video that I don't think people picked up on, right? We're going to play
Mhm.
that video here in a second. But of course, it always goes to Errol, what's next for you? What do you want to do? Where are you at currently? And Errol said, hey, I may come back. I may not come back. I've been doing my thing with my family. I've been taking care of my family, just enjoying life, traveling, things of that nature. And if you look at his Instagram, you know that that's what he's been doing, right?
Yep.
But when they brought it up again, Terence Crawford, this is what Errol Spence had to say. And I was quite intrigued by this comment. Here we go. This is courtesy of Fight Hub.
So I'm good.
At 165, you're only 3 pounds away from that super middleweight limit. With that,
I thought it was 160.
168 super middleweight.
Oh, you talking about 160 now?
Not something you'd be interested in?
For what?
168? Maybe a rematch against Crawford? You right there right now.
Oh yeah, for sure on that. But I'm not fighting no big guys, man.
Woo! For sure on that. For sure. So Errol still wants that smoke with Terence Crawford. Wants that rematch, Jay. We know that rematch was supposed to happen. I think there was a lot of circumstances at play, some of which was Terence
Yeah.
Crawford trying to renegotiate, some of which Errol Spence having to go through eye surgery. What's your thoughts on that? Would you actually like to see that rematch? I think I need to see Spence in the ring one more time before I see that rematch. But what's your thoughts?
I need to see Spence in the ring first and foremost. I need to see what he looks like in at least one fight. At least one fight before I'm on board for a rematch. For me, being a person, I am a competitive person. Maybe it's because we're from Florida. After the first loss, I would have been trying to run that back immediately at all costs. At all costs. Even if I have to try to melt myself back down to 147. I gotta get back in there. You know, I know what he was trying to do. He thought he was gonna be at 154, didn't, for various reasons. To your point, he did have an eye surgery and whatnot. But yeah, I like the fact that he says for sure. I like that because that lets you know, like, he ain't forget. He's like, I want this still, you know, but I don't want to see him in there just yet. I need to see what he looks like at least in one or two fights before he goes to a rematch with Bud. Just because it's been 2 years. We know the one thing that makes fighters age more than anything else, inactivity. And he's been active for 2.5 years. It'll more than likely be almost 3 years before he gets his next fight. Love the fact that he said he's at 165. And he loved the fact that he also reiterated, like, I'm not ballooning up to heavier weight, 190, nothing like that. I'm 165 right now, just, you know, being a father and being a spouse, you know. So I'm loving that fact that he's active. We've seen him out there do a little bit here and there. He looks great and everything, but I need to see him in the ring at least one time before I say get that rematch with Bud.
I feel the same. I need to see him in the ring again. I'm glad that he's interested in getting back in the ring. You know, he kind of tries to play both sides of the fence. Maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't. But then he'll say something like, definitely Terence Crawford fight. So it seems like he still wants to rematch. Maybe he feels that he can do better. I'm sure he can do better because, I mean, you can't do much worse, honestly, in terms of what we thought was going to happen versus what we actually saw happen in the ring. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I got to see him back. I need to see him with someone that's similar slick style as Terence Crawford. That's never going to prepare him for Terence Crawford. It's just not. But, you know, I would need to see him in the ring first before I would ever co-sign that. Love Spence. I want to see him come back.
Love him to death.
I don't think Terence Crawford is the fight for Errol Spence. I don't even think he should rematch him, man, to be quite honest with you. But I would love to see it if I think he can really come in there and be competitive. But if he can't be competitive, I don't want to see it. You guys, let us know what you think in the comments section in regards to this. I think Errol Spence has some good
Some
points,
good points.
and you know, we'll see what ends up happening next for Errol Spence. I think we're going to hear something probably early 2026. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, M Sports Media, and we are out.